Good evening. Welcome to our General Election Forum. My name is Kathy Bodine, and I am the president of the Murray Women's Club, and we're so happy to see all of you out tonight. 30 years ago, Martha Andrus had the dream of putting a forum together such as this. And here we are, 30 years later, we are continuing the tradition. So Martha, thank you so much for coming up with this idea. We want you, the community of Murray, to be informed, and we feel this is a great venue that you can see the candidates, meet the candidates, hear what they have to say, and then make an informed decision when you go to the polls in 15 days. Please join me as Karen Jackson leads us in the pledge, if you'll stand. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please remain standing and join me in singing our national anthem. Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hail, and the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare of first singing gave proof to the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave. Thank you. You may be seated.
All right, good evening. The acoustics in here are amazing, aren't they? First, I would like to point out that water is available on the table at the back of the room for anyone who needs it. Restrooms are located through the center door at the back of the room and down the stairs in the hallway to the right. Exits are to your left and also through the center door at the back of the room. Please join us in thanking Brandon Story for donating his time and equipment to video the forum. The video will be on Murray Women's Club Facebook page, YouTube, and Murray Electric Systems local channel in a few days, and that is noted on the bottom of the back of your programs. My name is Dana Vinson. I'm serving as moderator this evening. Our timekeepers tonight are Pat Harrington and Cynthia Barnes. I will state how much time each speaker has as I introduce them. The timekeepers will hold up time cards to warn that the end of that allowed time is near, and when time expires, you will hear a buzzer, which sounds like this. Doesn't sound like that. She's just kidding. It just goes buzz. Okay. When you are finished speaking, please exit toward the left of the podium. The left is your face in the audience, so that you can please avoid our microphone cord here. We don't want anyone to trip tonight. So let's get started. Constitutional Amendment 2 from Kentucky HB 208 is sometimes thought of as being about school vouchers, but as it can involve much more than that, we felt it would be a good idea to learn more about both sides of the question before casting our ballots in a couple of weeks. Please refer to the back of your program as I read Constitutional Amendment 2. You can read the full amendment there on the back of your program. You can also search online for Kentucky Constitution and find a PDF of the complete Constitution. Amendment 2 reads, to give parents choices in educational opportunities for their children, are you in favor of enabling the General Assembly to provide financial support for the education costs of students in kindergarten through 12th grade who are outside the system of common or public schools by amending the Constitution of Kentucky? I'd like to introduce to you and ask Andy Harrell, Eastwood Christian Academy Administrator, to please take the floor. He will have up to 12 minutes to speak.
Thank you for that. I'm glad I got clarification. I thought I was speaking on Amendment 2 of the Constitution. I was going to speak on the right to bear arms, but that would have been in trouble, wouldn't I? It's a pleasure to be here. I appreciate the invitation. I accepted the invitation actually not because I'm passionate about this amendment necessarily. I think it's a good amendment because it gives us choices, but what I am passionate about is the education of young people. I have been in education. I've been an educator for 41 years and counting, and all levels of education. I was a college administrator, college teacher in California. And for the last 18 years, I've been an administrator at Eastwood Christian Academy. And it's been a great joy, but it's always, for me, it's never been about money. It's never been about prestige or anything else. It's always been about doing what's best for the children. And I think that's something we could all agree on, at least, that we all want what's best for the children. And we might differ how that goes about, but we certainly are all for that. And the second thing that I want to state is the fact that for me, and probably for many of you, if not most of you, I think it's the parents that have the right to decide what's best for their child, and with the influence and help of other people, certainly. And but there's plenty of information online. And I looked at all the different stuff, and Mr. Ryan, I'm sure you did the same thing, looked at all the stuff online, and there's millions of charts and graphs, and some of it subjective, some of it objective, and you can read a lot of that for yourself. But as I was reading some of the different things about it, I read some of the reasons why folks are against this choice, being able to have this freedom to choose, and talked about the money lost. And I understand that if you're considering that you lose some money, but somehow we have equated money with making education better. Just if you put enough money at something, the education will get better. Now, every institution needs money. Obviously, you need money to go. But it's more than just about money. I don't believe that's the thing that necessarily has to be there. Now, we have good schools. I'm not anti-public school. We have a private school. I'm a product of public school. I see some folks here I went to school with. I graduated from Murray High School in 1978. And I went to Carter Elementary School. Somebody remember that? Murray Middle School. And so I have nothing but good. And we have tremendous schools. Murray and Calloway are great. I feel like I got a tremendous education. So I have nothing negative to say about our schools. I'm so glad to live in a place where we have great schools like this. And I'm not just saying that I believe it's true. But unfortunately, statewide, the results aren't as good. We're putting a lot of money back in the early 90s. Around $7,000 or so per child was being spent through local, state, and federal government, and up to 2022. In 2022, it's over $17,000. And we have the SEEK program, which puts, I think, around $4,500 in per child. So there's a lot of money being spent. Obviously, it's being well spent in Murray and in Calloway County. It's obvious from the schools. It's obvious from the results. But a lot of places in Kentucky, unfortunately, statewide, the efficiency levels in math and English and writing are below 50%. But we're spending more money, but statewide we're not getting that. Fortunately, here we have it. Here's a good place. If you're gonna be in Kentucky, I'm sure there are other good places, but it's sad that that's the case. So just putting this money there, that alone doesn't make good things happen. I had a friend approach me this week, And his child is in public school. And by the way, I support them all. We have kids in our church, public school, private school, homeschool. I support them all. I go to the kids' graduations, doesn't matter. So I'm not an enemy of any of them. But he approached me and he said, I'm not sure where I'm going to vote on this. I'm 50-50. And he said, here's my thought. Why should I pay for you to send your child to a private school? And the song from Jim Reeves from the 60s went through my head, Welcome to My World. For almost 50 years, I've been paying taxes, and I have 3 children. My oldest son is 40, and I have 11 grandchildren, and none of my children or grandchildren have ever received one dime from all the money I've given to their education. I'm not here to complain about that, but he says, why should I almost want to say, why have I been paying for yours? Now, I don't have that attitude, I don't have that spirit, but you can see objectively why those maybe on a different side than you might feel like, well, we've been paying taxes, but we haven't benefited from it. I've also heard things about, schools, charter schools and public schools, that it's going to diminish. It's going to pull people away. It's going to diminish, and and things like that. But we look all around us. Every school, every state surrounding us has charter schools. In fact, 44 states plus the District of Columbia either allow for charter schools, and 28 of those states have vouchers for private schools. So, it's not like the end of the world. It's not we hate children, so we're going to do this. So, you may have heard things about it. They're horrible. But by the way, this amendment just allows for it to move forward for choice. It doesn't provide any money. It doesn't do anything like that. But competition is a good thing. Competition makes things better. You know the name, perhaps, Tom Carvunas. And he passed away a few years ago, I think 3 years ago. He was 93 years old. But he moved to America from Greece. And he went to Ohio with his family in the 50s and 2 kids, worked hard, learned the English language, did it the right way, came in and just really worked himself to the bone. And then he got this idea, I want to open up a pizza place in a southern city with a college. And he made his way, and he found somebody in Paducah had a restaurant that he knew that was Grecian, and he spoke the language, and they said, Murray, Kentucky has a college, and he settled in Murray. And in 1966, I remember Tom's Pizza Palace opened up. And boy, I tell you what, it was just awesome. The first pizza place in Murray. Now, there were other restaurants that served pizza, but that was the first place. And I remember my parents taking me as a kid, and it was like the highlight. It became and I'm grateful for Tom, because pizza became, to this day, my favorite food. And I can thank Tom and his dear wife, Helen, but they took pride in that. They were the only place. Fortunately, they were a good place. They came in, Tom would work in there. They would do 100 pizzas a day, he said. And he would come out with the customers and talk with them. And Helen would make her baklava and come out and boy, they come out and talk to people. They took pride in the work. It kind of reminds me of our schools here. Our schools in Calloway County, Murray, they take pride in their school. So we have good schools, but competition makes us better. In the 70s, along came Poly Eyes. And I remember in high school going to the games on Friday nights, and after the games, we'd go there and eat pizza. Oh, it was so good. Now, I thought about this week. I wonder what Tom thought when Poly Eyes opened. Do you think he thought, hallelujah, wow, finally I don't have to make all the pizzas for everybody in Murray. I got a little help here. Do you think he thought that? Probably not. If it had been me, if it was Andy's Pizza Palace, I'd be driving by Poly Eyes saying, look at all those people. Those are some of my customers. That guy, he was my most faithful customer. What is he doing? Hey, you idiot, what are you doing? Come back. Now, I'm sure Tom wouldn't do that. But then in the 80s, I think it was Pizza Hut. And then, now we've got Little Caesars, Domino's, Papa John's, Matt B's, Mugsy's, Gopher Pizza now, all these different places. And they're all over. And I would imagine when Poly Eyes came, Tom had to say, okay, we're going to make these pizzas better. They're good right now. I'm going to put a little more into it, a little more time, a little more effort. We're going to try to do things to make it work and work better. And I'm sure he was passionate about that. He worked hard because he took pride in his work, but he needed to make money. And I'm sure Poly Eyes looks, oh man, Tom's working harder, I better work harder. And then all these restaurants. Now, used to in the day, we'd say, hey, you want to go over and get pizza? And they said, yeah, what time do you want to meet at Tom's? Now it's, do you want to go get pizza? Where do you want to go? We can go here, we can go here, we can go here. Well, they got a good deal over here. They're having something over here. New York style over here. Chicago style over here. We got a lot of choices. Now for the pizza maker, that's rough. I would not want to be a pizza maker in Calloway County. No way. I love pizza. But can you imagine how hard it is? You got to get customers to bring them in. But for the pizza eater, whoo, it is awesome. We got a choice. We can choose. They're all competing for our business. They're all saying, we're going to work hard. So who benefits from that competition? The customer. Who is the customer in education? The children and the parents. And for them, they benefit from all that. And I'm not against public school. I'm not against any of that. But I'm voting for this simply because I want parents to have choices. By the way, if the vouchers come, we may not take them. Because if there's restrictions that go against our convictions and our beliefs, we won't take those. So we may not even take them, but I'm for the right and the freedom of parents to be able to choose where their kids go. Thank you for your time. I appreciate that.
Okay, thank you. I'd like to introduce to you and ask Mitch Ryan, Calloway County Schools Board of Education member, to please take the floor. He will have 12 minutes as well.
Hopefully I'll need nowhere near as long as 12. I want to say I really appreciate the opportunity to be here. We get so lost in this election season. Yes, no, being on one side of the issue, being on the other side of the issue, and it is so refreshing to be here to listen to Andy. He made a whole lot of good points, and this is just the type of forum and information I think that everybody needs instead of being on social media. So I really appreciate the opportunity to be here. I need to tell you that I am here as an individual, as a member of the Board of Education, not on behalf of the Board of Education. The Kentucky Department of Education has kind of scolded us. The Board of Education is not allowed to speak. I am allowed to speak as an individual, and that's what I'm doing. I'm not speaking on behalf of Mr. Settle or on behalf of the Board of Education. I think the most important thing for anybody in the voting season of any kind, whether it's a specific candidate or a constitutional amendment, is to educate yourself. We all come from different perspectives. Mr. Harrell has a completely different perspective than I do. I'm a member of the Board of Education at Calloway, which is a public institution. We obviously have major concerns about public funding. I do think that we have a problem in our public schools, and I think that it's a funding problem. And any time that there's legislation or a constitutional amendment that I think could lead to some sort of reduction in funding, I'm inevitably going to have a problem with that. I'm going to have concerns with that. So there is a ton of information online. Mr. Harrell said, it's easy to get lost in that information. I would urge you to get that information and look through it. There's a whole bunch of stuff on both sides, but there's actually a whole bunch of stuff that's right in the middle, to be quite honest with you. I'm an attorney here in Murray, but more importantly, I'm a father of two kids that are in our public school system in Calloway County. Mr. Harrell and I agree on about 90% of what he said. We have fantastic school systems here, publicly and privately. And this, to me, is not a bill about school choice. Our parents and kids have choices. We have choices in Calloway County. House Bill 563 was something that passed a few years ago that allow kids from one district to go to the other, and the money follows them within our public school system. Many of you don't know that, but kids that are in Calloway School District can go to Murray and the money follows them. There is one school district can charge tuition and things of that nature, but a couple years ago, they lifted something that they fought over for years and years regarding public school district lines and requiring people to go to the school within that district. So we do have choices in the state of Kentucky. The piece of that bill, House Bill 563, that was deemed unconstitutional was the educational opportunities accounts part of it. It was the funding part of it. The legislature went back in 2023 and attempted to do something very similar to that, and that was once again deemed unconstitutional. I'm a lawyer. I live in the world of constitutions. What a constitution means to me is foundation. That's your structure. That's your principle. That's not the laws. That are the things that guide the people who determine the laws. And when they get out of bounds, that's when a court determines that to be unconstitutional. That's what happened in 2023. That's why we're facing this, that's why we have this constitutional amendment on the ballot today, is because what the legislature attempted to do in regards to funding was deemed unconstitutional. And what Amendment 2 is asking you to do, and it was read earlier, is to create loopholes, ignore, or exceptions, whatever you want to call it, 7 different sections of our Constitution. Not 1, 7. One of those that is concerning to me, again, I'm on the school board, I'm dealing with funding issues, I'm hearing over and over, we need to pay our teachers more. Nobody wants to pay our teachers more than me. We need new buildings. Nobody, drive around, our buildings are 100 years old. We need new buildings. Nobody wants new buildings more than I do as a school board member. We need new technology. Nobody wants more technology than I do as a school board member. But I have to make a decision. We have to make decisions based upon a shrinking budget. Since 2000, this is from the Kentucky Center of Economic Policy. Since 2016, the share of funding for our K through 12 educational as a part of the general fund has gone down from 45% to 37%. Mr. Harrell, and this is not a back and forth, and I really don't want to, I was told not to do that. But we're not throwing extra money at stuff. We're throwing less money at our problems. We're not putting more money towards our problems. It's not an efficiency problem. We simply don't have the money. I printed off another thing. I think a lot of our problems, and I deal with I deal with criminal defense work. I deal with a lot of folks who've gone off track badly, and that cost our county, our state, our country untold amounts of money. And I think back to when could we have solved that? And that's why I have a charity called Seasons Readings, and we donate books to kindergarten children. Because I really think that's where we solve the problem. I think that's where we solve almost all of our society's problems that we are now spending a ton of money on is in our young children. And I think that we shouldn't be spending less money on our children. We should be spending more. Since the budget in 2006 to 2008, the share of the general fund appropriations, again, this is not a dollar for dollar reduction, this is the share of the general fund, has gone down 15%. Our post-secondary education, our colleges and universities, has gone down 34%. At the same time, the share that Medicaid takes up has gone up 31%. And the share that our criminal justice system takes has gone up 17%. One's going down, the other's going up. We're not investing where we need to invest. And what concerns me is that we are asking for the Constitution to be amended with no companion legislation. We really have no idea what's going to happen, other than what's already been turned down and deemed unconstitutional. We can expect that that's what's going to happen after the Constitution gets amended. We do have a problem. We have a significant problem in our public education. Not as much here in Murray and Calloway County. Thankfully, we live in a place that has 2 fantastic school districts and good private school and good homeschool systems. We have a funding problem. We need to pay our teachers more, period. We need better buildings. We need newer schools. Everything else, look around. Businesses that are getting attention are because they're new. Build something new, they come. Our kids want new stuff. Our kids need new technology. The changing landscape of what we're required to pump kids out that are ready for, what the real world is changing in the speed that we can't even grasp. And so the cost for us to stay in front of that and to give these kids opportunities is skyrocketing. Somebody called me the other day, and they're in our maintenance department, and he asked me about how to vote on this. And I said, I want to ask you a question. Has a single, and this person is essentially responsible for, I'm not naming any names, responsible for a lot of our maintenance stuff, building supplies, which is a huge piece of our budget. I said, has a single thing that you bought in the last year gone up 5%? A single thing? He said, no. I said, well, then that's the increase we got. That's the increase that we're allowed to get. I'm just going to use that as a round number. So we're paying more for nails. We're paying more for plywood. We're paying untold amounts for sanitary wipes and all the stuff that we've got to have. And the portion, and on top of that, our budget is decreasing. The share that we're being allotted by the legislature is decreasing. We do have a problem. We have a significant problem. We have a funding problem. Amendment 2, my concern, and again, inform yourself. My concern is that what Amendment 2 will lead to is public funds being used for private schools. Is that a problem? Not necessarily in theory, if you weren't reducing those public funds. But we have no plan being presented to us that tells us that pool of funds is going to increase. We do have a problem. It's a funding problem. And allowing some of that money to go to private institutions is not the answer. We are not throwing more money at our problems. We are throwing less at our problems. I really appreciate the opportunity today. I should have known this was your idea from 30 years ago, but thank you so much.
Thank you. Please refer to the back of your programs as I read Amendment 1 to bring awareness to it being on the ballot. You can again read the full amendment there on the back of your program. Amendment 1. Are you in favor of amending sections 145 and 155 of the Constitution of Kentucky to prohibit persons who are not citizens of the United States from being allowed to vote in the Commonwealth of Kentucky? That is Amendment 1. Now let's move on to our House of Representative candidates. Candidates, we're interested tonight in hearing, among other things, your thoughts on Amendment 2 as our prospective representatives in Congress and as former public school teachers. I'd like to introduce to you and ask Lauren Hines to please take the floor. She will have up to 12 minutes to speak.
Thank you so much for everyone being here tonight. It is absolutely an honor to be here with you at the Candidate Forum. I really want to thank the organizers and everyone involved for having us here and to be able to hear firsthand from the candidates as well as the speakers that we heard on both sides of Amendment 2. For those who don't know me, I'm Lauren Hines, and I'm your Democratic nominee for State House District 5. I'm running as a community-first Democrat that wants to put our people before partisan politics. We are far away from Frankfurt, so we depend on the leaders that we send there to stand up for us and to bring back our tax dollars for the important work that we need here in Western Kentucky. We need leaders that are going to represent us, our values, our families, businesses, and communities. I grew up right here in Murray, Kentucky. Alongside my parents and grandparents, the Murray community raised me, and it inspired me to pursue public service. Whether that was in high school as the president of our YMCA club that went to the Kentucky Youth Assembly or as homecoming chairperson for Murray State University, I've always stepped up to lead when called upon. As a teacher, I served in many leadership positions in my district and worked with a variety of students teaching literally some of the same students from kindergarten to AP Spanish, AP Psychology, and AP Human Geography. I've represented my colleagues on the school-based, site-based decision-making council and served as president of our local teacher association. And now I look to represent all of you. There is no one I am more proud of than my students, and I care deeply for the futures of each of them, as some of them are now partway through the workforce, and some are just now entering college. I feel a deep sense of responsibility that endures beyond the time that they were entrusted to my care. And I want to ensure that they have the same economic and educational opportunities that were available to me and to previous generations, if not better. Even though I have left the classroom, I want to be able to ensure that each class entering Kentucky schools benefits from our responsibility to provide them the best education possible through our common schools. I want to ensure that our way of life, of doing right by each other, of taking care of another, of supporting each other, is going to be there for future generations. And guys, we do so much more of that at the schools than we used to do. Whether it's taking care of students' needs or mental health programs, there are so many more responsibilities that are placed upon our public schools than there used to be. I want to make sure that we make smart and forward-thinking policies that will reduce prices and increase wages, not just for the time being, but to build a future that the children that we are working to educate in our classrooms throughout the state will inevitably inherit. I want to ensure that all of Kentucky's citizens will have access to quality education, a decent living, and accessible health care. And to do that, we're going to have to change our priorities in Frankfort. Most of my professional life has been in the classroom. I did not plan on being a teacher. In fact, I resisted it hard for a long time. But a substitute position at Mayfield High School showed me that there was a need for my skills in the educational system. Teaching allowed me to spend my time off pursuing professional development in many countries around the world as I gained perspectives on education, even going to Morocco to see their public education program that extends all the way to postdoctorate programs. I gained perspectives on agriculture and the needs of many students and families, not just in our community, but throughout the world. And guys, those are a lot of the same needs and challenges. The decision to leave teaching was difficult. I loved teaching and I loved my students, but I knew it was time for a change, even if I wasn't sure of the path forward. While I was waiting for my real estate license to be approved, I canvassed for Governor Beshear's campaign last year. His leadership in the face of adversity truly inspired me, and I would not be in this position were it not for his example and inspiration. I was glad to volunteer for someone who had been so inspirational to me, and I truly enjoyed the process and look forward to helping with this year's campaign. But there wasn't a candidate. My original goal was not to run myself, but to find someone who could run and help them. I spent time considering what type of candidate we needed here in District 5 so I could go out and find them. I knew we needed someone who grew up here, and I began kindergarten at Murray Elementary School and attended both school systems at one point, as well as having been homeschooled and attending private Christian school before I graduated from Murray High School. I was a presidential scholar at Murray State University and received a master's in secondary education and teacher leadership. I knew that we need someone in the legislature that can advocate for teachers and students, that has everyday experience with the diverse needs of our students, employees, and community stakeholders, when education is one of the largest aspects of our state government, although that percentage of funding has gone down. We need someone who can deal with the political division and work with others to move forward in our policies and our politics. I was raised conservative. I deeply understand the values and perspectives of all parties, and like many in the state, come from a family of diverse political opinions that has helped me understand that we don't always have to agree on policy, but we must not let politics prevent us from living and working together in our community in peace, and we must still treat each other with kindness and dignity. I studied diplomacy and national security at the University of Kentucky's Patterson School, where I learned about economic development, as well as how policies and politics affect the outcomes of their citizens, and how the decisions made by governments have real and lasting consequences that stretch far beyond the current political cycle. As you can see, I have received a great benefit from the public education in our state. I cannot think of a better use for all of the experiences and skills that I have gained than to represent the community that made it all possible, and to continue my career in public service to help students, but just in a different way, while at the same time working for their parents and grandparents to ensure that we can all give them the best future possible. This whole time, until I put my name on the ballot in December, and that is a really long time to have to wait until the next November, I found myself searching for reasons not to run. But ultimately, I knew that if I couldn't make the decision, I could at least leave it up to the voters, to give them a choice on the ballot in November, to send one of their own to represent them in Frankfort, even if the numbers don't appear to be on my side. I've spoken with thousands of voters in both Calloway and Trigg counties, and I've heard over and over again that many people vote for the person, not always the party. Looking at the state of politics around the country and our state, I believe it is time for young people to step up and run no matter the odds. I knew it would take leaders like Governor Beshear who want to lead with kindness and compassion over hate and division. I am honored to be endorsed by Governor Beshear, and I look forward to working with him and the legislature to continue the progress that continues to be made under his leadership. Within my experience as a teacher, I found that there were immense challenges that were keeping administrators, educators, and students from realizing their potential. Our current supermajority seems more concerned with using education as a political talking point than they are with the very real outcomes that impact both the funding of our schools and our priorities in legislation. After years and years of unfunded mandates and red tape and budget cuts, we can't afford to outsource our education. Instead of fixing the problems that have been created by not fully funding transportation or curriculum, or even ensuring cost of living adjustments for staff. They want to give hard-earned rainy day fund to private institutions instead of facing real problems, like the rising cost of gas and groceries, increasing prices of housing, or our out-of-control healthcare costs, the epidemic of opioids, or investing in improved childcare facilities and activities for our seniors, or even funding childcare for working parents. In this moment of true opportunity for growth and change, we should be maintaining and repairing our institutions and our infrastructure, providing pathways to grow small businesses and attract new industries to Western Kentucky. While the legislature isn't even fully funding our public schools, they are ready to give public dollars away to private institutions, and that denies our kids the world-class education they deserve, and we have the privilege and the duty to provide. Speaking on Amendment 2, I appreciate both of the speakers that were here today, and I am fortunate and grateful that I have a diverse experience to help inform my perspective. I know that funding for education firsthand is not the same as it was when I entered the classroom, and it is not the same as it was when I was in the classroom. We have to do better for our students. We have to make better choices, and we can find ways that can do it without throwing all of the money away. But I truly believe that the most important thing that we can do for all of our citizens for the future is to make sure that they have the best education possible. And that, unfortunately, requires more and more amounts of money as we see to keep up with technology, curriculum, transportation, maintenance, building repairs, salaries, and the list goes on and on. I can't tell you how many times I asked for something to aid in my instruction and was just met with, well, where are you going to get the money? When we have fundraisers and fundraisers and fundraisers, and teachers are spending so much of their own money to get their classrooms together, it's difficult for me to be able to understand how we can afford to give money away to private schools who don't face the same accountability standards, by the way, when we're not even making the decisions to give our public schools that we already have the full and fair funding that they need. I want to be your next state representative so that Western Kentucky gets its fair share and so that our people get a fair shake. I know how very special this place is. I hear it over and over again. And it's special to us for so many different reasons. For many, it's the natural beauty that we have in land between the lakes and our agricultural lands. So many come for the education system that has drawn them, either here for university at Murray State or to enroll their kids in our wonderful public school systems. For most of the people I talk to, though, the reason it's special is because the people that they love are here. They want to be able to watch their kids and their grandkids grow up and have amazing lives. I may not have my own children, but I promise you, every single step of this campaign has been inspired by yours. It will take all of us to forge our future, and we can do it if we do it together. Thank you, guys.
Thank you. I'd like to introduce to you and ask Mary Beth Imes to please take the floor. She will have up to 12 minutes to speak.
Well, you needn't worry. Probably won't be that long. I am, as most of you know, I'm Mary Beth Imes. I am your representative right now, your state representative, 5th District. I have Calloway, part of Tree County, and it has been an honor to serve you all. I am a wife and a mother and a grandmother. Used to own a small business, help Kenny run it. And I have, like I said, I've had 4 years of experience in the House of Representatives. And it's, again, I tell you, it's been an honor to serve you all. I thank you for having this forum, for keeping us informed. And I'm going to hit the Amendment 2 right now. I voted to put that on the ballot so you all, as voters, could have the choice. I don't think you'll hear anybody. I've had people come and ask me personally, what should I do? And I said, read it, educate yourself, decide what you want to do. I'm not going to push it on anybody. I want this to be your decision. You as a voter can decide whether you want to do this or not. I'm running for re-election for state representative to protect our Kentucky way of life and make certain that every Kentuckian, no matter where you live, regardless of where you live, you have the opportunity to meet or exceed your goals in life. I believe the government should continue to look for opportunities to remove barriers to job growth, continue to find ways to reduce spending and cut taxes, and reduce or eliminate government regulations that impair individuals' opportunities to exercise their entrepreneurial rights, their skills to become the very best they can be. We had their last session was the budget session, and we had a good session. We had money that we've never had before, and we were able to fund things that we haven't funded. And I will tell you that our school system, our public school system, gets the biggest chunk of the money than anywhere. And I wish I could dig deep and give you as much as you needed as a state representative. But we've also, you've also got your retirement, your teacher's retirement, your pensions. They've got to be covered also. You've got to make sure that everybody is taken care of. One of the things we did is lower the individual income tax from 6% to 4% since 2017. And we've met the conditions necessary to lower the tax to 3.5% in 2026. I'm sure that will be one of the first bills that will be passed. Of course, this means that Kentuckians will keep more of their income, both retirement and current pay. The last two cuts alone have left more than $1 billion in taxpayers' pockets. This couldn't have come at a better time, as we know, all of us know, when we go to the grocery store or buy gas or buy a new car or to look for a new house, the cost of things, or we go buy screws or we go buy some lumber. Before the taxes decreased, we put some preset triggers in there because there are government entities that have necessary functions they have to be paid for. So if that's not met, then we will not lower it. We didn't lower it in 2020. It won't be lowered in 2025 because we had the devastating tornadoes in western Kentucky, Mayfield, Graves County, Marshall County, and they had the devastating floods in eastern Kentucky. We met in special session and made sure that they were taken care of, and they are still recovering from that. I'm proud to be a part of a legislature that once again provided a record amount of funding to K through 12 education, even after adjusting for inflation. This is based on data provided by the Department of Education. We increased the seat per pupil base by 3% to $4,326 in fiscal year 25, and 6% to $4,586 in fiscal year 26, fully funding all-day kindergarten. We allocated an additional $29.1 million on behalf of school districts for the statutorily required district payments to the TRS, Teachers Retirement System. We funded pupil transportation at 90% the current fiscal year and will be 100% the next fiscal year. These are based on previous year's cost as provided by the Department of Education. We included an additional $8 million to establish additional FRISECs. This is so important for these children who come to school with the same clothes that they've worn for 3 or 4 days, to have the clothes and have backpacks for them, food for them, snacks to take home. We also created and funded both a teacher-student loan forgiveness program and a student-teacher stipend. In addition, we used a 24 regular session to pass legislation aimed at expanding life-saving medical services like cancer screening, providing law enforcement and prosecutors more tools to keep Kentucky safe, creating a veteran suicide prevention program, and better protecting consumer data. And we have invested, Kenny, billions of dollars in our roads and our bridges, water and wastewater infrastructure, and local economic and development sites. I don't have a lot more I need to say. Do not think me rude when I leave. I've got 2 committee meetings tomorrow starting at 8 o'clock in Frankfort, so I'm headed there as soon as I leave here. But I appreciate you all so much, and I do ask you for your vote. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. We're going to move forward. Our city council candidates will be called forward by row. You'll speak in alphabetical order as listed on the program. Most of our 14 candidates are here with us today. Some did have a prior conflicting schedule commitment. You can vote for up to 12 of the 14 candidates that you'll see on the ballot. Please refer to the back of your program regarding the question of medical cannabis. I'll now read this question. It's labeled Question Murray Cannabis and Question Calloway Cannabis. Are you in favor of the sale of medicinal cannabis at a licensed dispensary and the operation of other cannabis businesses in the city of Murray, Kentucky? And on the county, are you in favor of the sale of medicinal cannabis at a licensed dispensary and the operation of other cannabis businesses in Calloway County, Kentucky? The question is worded the same for the city and county ballots, except that the city precincts vote as city voters and as county voters, while the county precincts only vote as county voters. City council candidates, Kentucky state government voted last year to legalize medicinal or medical cannabis across the state, which goes into effect January 1st, 2025, and they have been working to regulate standards and procedures. Our city and county governments agreed to put this referendum on the ballot rather than making the decision themselves, as many cities and counties across the state have done. Do you see legalizing medical cannabis as a good or a bad move for our community, and why? Each of you will have up to 2 minutes to speak. If I can have, please, the first row join me. It should be the first 5 in alphabetical order. You can all join me here on this side, and we'll start with Jeremy Bell.
Thank you. I think next year 2 years we go in reverse order, so I wouldn't have to go first. As my wife said, speak before you get up here. I want to say thank you. Thank you for allowing us to do this. Appreciate it. Appreciate all the candidates that have and that will be up here speaking their part. I say thank you in the fact that a lot of times where council goes, we don't get a chance to speak what we want to. People have asked what we look like at times. We have to put our picture out there, or we have to put, what we would like for you to vote on, or what we would like to see voted on. So I appreciate this opportunity. When I first started, some 18 years ago, Ms. Cherry, you and I were voted in together. My job was to make sure that we were forward thinking and that we were proactive and that we didn't go back and to be reactive. And every chance we have given to give our citizens the chance to vote on things, that is what we have done, and that is including the fact of this medical cannabis. And that is whether or not it is a yes or no, that's up to you. If it's a yes, then we will deal with it as we do. If it is a no, then it will be done. And so the chance to vote on it is what our job is. You know, I'm just a small part. We are a great team as far as our council goes. We work together to get things done. We may disagree on things, but we walk out of there in agreement, and that is what my job is. I am just a small part. It is you. It is the citizens of Murray that we represent. It is our employees that we represent. So there is no I in team, as at least I heard. We are a team, and it's working together that we can move forward. And once again, I ask for your vote. My name is Jeremy Bell, and I thank you for your time.
Thank you very much for having this forum for us today to let everyone see the candidates that are able to be here today and hear what their positions are on things. I'm Johnny Bohannon, and I have lived in Murray for 60 years. Both my sons and their families live in Murray and have lived here from the beginning. The action that we took on the cannabis question was unanimous by the council. We want the citizens to be able to make that decision. And as Jeremy says, when that decision is made by the citizens, then we will deal with what comes after that, either say for it or against it. If there's anything that we need from the citizens, you've always come forward and you've always been appreciative. I do want to mention just one thing, that notice that we have not raised taxes in 7 years. When we passed the payroll tax, we said we would not do it for at least 3 years. It's been 7 now. So I want to make that clear as well.
Thank you all for coming tonight. I probably need to pull this down some. Is it better? Okay. I graduated with my master's degree in education from Murray State and taught for 28 years. My husband is Don Cherry. My father-in-law is Bill Cherry. And I've served on the boards of CASA, which is Court-Appointed Special Advocate for Children, the Gentry House, Senior Citizens Board, Park Board, the Human Rights Commission, and Lost But Loved Animal Rescue. All of these have prepared me to follow my pursuit as a public servant on the Murray City Council. My daughter, Laura, and I raised $10,000 and built Western Kentucky's only dog park, and in 2009, it was voted on as one of the top 10 dog parks in the state of Kentucky. As your city council member for the last 18 years, my first priority has always been the safety and welfare of our citizens and to be a responsible steward of your tax dollars. Remember, your vote is your voice. Please elect Linda Cherry, me, to be your voice on all city council matters. Thank you very much.
Hi, everybody. I want to say thank you to the Women's Club, not just for this forum, but also because when I was a kid, I used to play football down the hill over there, and nobody told me to stop, so that was very nice of them. I've lived in Murray for most of my life, and I think that in government, perspectives matter. I worked my way through college at Murray State University as a janitor. I've worked blue-collar jobs my entire life. I come here as a servant for the public because I think that perspective needs to be found inside the city government and at all levels of government. As it pertains to this question about medical cannabis, I think perspectives matter there as well. I lost my mother when I was 15 to cancer. For those of you in the room who've dealt or seen people deal with cancer and cancer treatments, you know just how awful and terrible it is. The reality is that while we may personally oppose or be for or against any of this, I personally would like to advocate on behalf of the doctors and the patients to give them the opportunity and the option to partake in cannabis as an alternative to other drugs. As it comes to dealing with chronic pain, we've seen what the opioid crisis has done to communities like ours, and to give an option to patients and to caregivers, we want to do that. I would recommend doing that. Now, we did vote unanimously to allow you to vote on this issue, and I think it's important that you do so. I would ask that you vote for me, but also please vote for allowing medicinal cannabis here in Murray. Thank you.
Good evening, fellow members of the community. My name is Cliff Darnell. I did have some remarks prepared, but I'm just going to jump straight into what I was more or less going to say, skipping quickly over the marijuana referendum. That will be decided upon by the voters, so I really don't have any opinion on that one way or the other. Point being straightforward, I think in our local community, as I first ran for mayor in 2016, as I'm running for, 2018, I'm running for city council right now. That year, there was more city council members running, and it could have been for things going on at the federal level. Who knows what the case may have been. But the point being, we actually had to have a primary that year. There was a lot of people involved and interested in our local city government. That right there is why I've negated any of the prepared remarks that I may have had and simply want to focus on the fact that of all the years that I've come here and spoke to this at this exact forum, this is by far the smallest audience. And by that, I want to say thank you to the Murray Women's Club for doing this, because without you, there would not be any forum at all. So something is better than nothing. But I want to make a point from there by saying, I think we've come to a point in time where our local citizens do not quite comprehend the importance of our local city government and the role that they play in their daily lives. We actually, in my opinion, I think our local city government in many ways has a greater effect on our daily lives than the federal government. So in that same perspective, I think it's extremely important that we have city council members in this day and time that make their top priority to disseminate information to their constituents so that when we have events such as this, we have more audience members than we do candidates. Thank you very much for your time. Cliff Darnell is my name, and I would appreciate your vote.
Thank you. Can I have the second row, please? Bonnie Higginson? Yes. All right, Bonnie Higginson.
Hi, everyone. I know many people here, but I first want to thank the Women's Club and Martha for thinking of this forum in the first place and continuing it all through the years. I'm a candidate for Murray City Council because I want to ensure that Murray excels as a welcoming and vibrant community for all citizens and businesses. I'm finishing my first term on the council, and I've had the privilege of serving on the Long Range Planning Committee. That has been very interesting work, and we, I believe, have developed sound and achievable goals to enhance our infrastructure, improve our park, and look ahead to the needs we will have in the years to come. I've also been involved in revising the Human Rights Commission ordinance to improve protections for all people in Murray. We do have more work to do, but I was really pleased to be a part of that effort after, I think the last time it was changed was 1976 or 7. Currently, I'm leading a work group to examine the disbursement of opioid abatement funds that we've received from the state. I also volunteer at Angel's Attic on a daily basis, and I work with people who, many of whom have been incarcerated and are in recovery. So I've developed a passion for helping individuals regain control of their lives. And I'm hoping that through our work, we can utilize the funds to provide community members in recovery with the support they so desperately need to be able to get back on track. I've really enjoyed my work on the council these past 2 years, and I hope to be elected to a second term. With regard to the medicinal cannabis amendment, I'm just going to do this.
Good evening. For those that don't know me, my name is Thomas Hornbuckle. I'm from Murray. I see a lot of familiar faces out here. A lot of you, I played with your kids. I grew up with them, sports. As for the question, to answer the question, if I'm in favor of the sale and operations of medical cannabis business in Murray, my answer is yes. I believe the cultivation of medical cannabis should be limited to the county, but the licensed dispensaries of medical cannabis should be limited to the city limits. I do not believe that medical cannabis should be allowed to operate without restrictions. I understand how voters might allow the stigmas around marijuana to sway your vote. I understand the possible concerns such as safety hazards, the odors, increased traffic in town, as well as a potential increase of drug-related crimes. However, if we are serious about bringing new business and jobs to Murray Calloway County, then we should vote yes and take advantage of this opportunity. Again, my name is Thomas Hornbuckle. I appreciate your vote, and I look forward to serving on the City Council.
Good evening, my name is Danny Husbeth. I've been on the council since 1988. Since September of 29 through December of 2010, I served out the mayor's position of the late Thomas Rushing, and it was an enjoyable time. During that time, being on the council, the 12 that I've served with have been varied, but we all have been opponents. And we love Murray, and we try to make sure that what we do is good for the city of Murray. One of the biggest things that we do is we work with the mayor in groups of 3 or 4 sometimes, and we work on the budget. Then we turn that budget over to the mayor, him and his administrator, his managers, his chiefs, and all the people who work there do an outstanding job of managing the city of Murray. And we help in that regard by putting forth a good budget for them to take care of the business of Murray. Now, as far as cannabis goes, one of the concerns I have is the odors that come from it. A few years ago, there was a business in Murray that was hemp, and they was operating down on LP Miller Street, and it had a real bad pungent smell. And that's one of the downplays of it, is that smell and how it affects neighborhoods. And some of the surrounding areas that these dispensaries, the dispensaries are fine. I'm okay with dispensaries if we pass that. But where we put those businesses of cultivating and processing could have an effect on some residents and some businesses in those areas. I know that there's a lot of technology going along with these, and they're working on it in our planning department as far as filtration of the smell. So we hope that if it passes, that we will take care of that and it not be a nuisance. If I've got any more time, maybe we can play some music.
Rose Ross.
Yes.
I am Rose Ross. I'm a retired teacher. I've been on the council. I'm gonna go a little lower than Danny. Since 2018. I'll echo what Danny says. I think we have a dedicated, cohesive team that's committed to being good stewards of public funds. Now, with that being said, the state legislators voted for us to have medicinal marijuana. We voted to put it on the ballot and let the community decide, as did the county. I personally believe we can regulate it. We can get funds, resources, put them to good use if we allow it in the city. There will be medicinal marijuana regardless of if we have a dispensary in our city or not. I think we should take advantage of the resources that it will raise and the restrictions that we can put on, and we can have a little better control of it. As a chair of the Long Range Planning Committee, we worked diligently to identify and anticipate the needs of the community, which always involves needing more funds. The infrastructure is aging, as in most cities, and it's required a great deal of resources. As you all can notice, we've put it into lots of our infrastructure. We've been awarded some state and federal grants, but we've tried to use our resources to the best of our ability. In the 6 years I've been on, we've only raised taxes one time, and that was COVID year, and that was the bare minimum. It's been an honor to serve, and I would appreciate your support in this next term. I'm Rose Ross, number 2 on the ballot.
Alice Ross.
Thank you. I first would like to compliment the Women's Club on what a beautiful facility you have, even though you had to go through the storm to get it. Again, my name is Alice Rouse, and with your support, I'm here to ask you to re-elect me to the Murray City Council. In the past 6 years, I've learned a lot. It takes all of us to get things done, working together. I'm proud of the support that we've given our police department and our fire department. I'm also proud of the fact that we've been able to pave streets, pave the old city parking lot, get sidewalks done, started a recycle program, a new mural on the mausoleum in the city, and of all things, the biggest water project on the 16th Street this city has ever undertaken. We were able to obtain the park from the county, and we did all of this without raising taxes. There's still a lot to be done, accomplishing getting a pickleball court finished, getting our welcome center done at the park, a long-term infrastructure repaired, greenway, walking paths and bikes. We must continue to work and build economics and create job opportunities for our young people. I love Murray, Kentucky. This is my home. This is not just a community. And I know you all love it too. And as far as the legalizing, and I can't pronounce it correctly, so we'll just pass it. I know it would bring money into our community, but I don't want us to lose that hometown feeling and what we have here already. That's an individual decision, and you have to make it, not me. I'm number 12 on the ballot. I appreciate your vote.
Gonna help you out a little bit there. Terry Streeter.
Okay, medical cannabis. The city council decided to let the voters decide this issue, and I agree 100% with that conclusion. This is a democracy, and democracies decide. It's the voters who decide those kinds of issues. So we gave it to the voters, and I think that was the right thing to do. It's great to see all you folks here this evening. I wish it was even a bigger crowd. Murray is a participatory kind of city. But I thank the Women's Club for holding this forum. I believe in public service. I've lived in Murray for 45 years. My wife and I are the proud owners of Fidalgo Bay Coffee Shop. I retired from Murray State, and I decided I needed to give back for all the great things that I've experienced while being here. So I got involved in various organizations, Rotary, Sierra Club, president of an antique car club, serving the city of Murray on the Board of Zoning Adjustment and the City of Murray Planning Commission. I've served on the city council for 2 terms now, and I'm running for the 3rd term. In my 2 terms on the city council, I was very much involved in pushing for residential curbside recycling, reinvigorating the Murray Tree Board, helping to initiate the Okay, I'm almost out of time already. I want to keep the city going strong, and I believe we can do that by keeping most of the members, or maybe all the members that are on the city board. Don't want to get rid of any of you. I hope you value my efforts to help the city, and I ask for your support in November. Thank you.
I would like to personally say thank you to all the candidates who joined us tonight. Thank you so much. Voting centers and hours are listed at the bottom of the front of your program. Please vote. That concludes our forum. Thank you so much for coming.